Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. I am still Kyle Corpus-Crow. That is still Jeff Zeta Schnur, and we are still in the middle of this series between Sheridan, who leads 1-0 in this best-of-3, over Seneca. In an explosive game number 1, they were able to take away quite the victory. Now here on the cusp of game number 2, we can't wait to get into it. We know the same is true for you, so we're going to hop right in to the draft. Game number 2. So a little bit of a side switch. Of course, that means the Sheridan Bruins are over on the blue side this time. It'll be the Seneca Scorpions on the red side, trying to claw their way back into this series. We'll see whether or not that's possible for them here.
You're scared.
I mean, certainly is. After all, they got very, very close last game in terms of almost seeing their star mid laner just completely walk over everyone. You know, it was Irelia time, and then all of a sudden the clock froze. The internals completely stopped up. The hand never reached midnight, and the Bruins had a digital clock. It never stopped running, so they got there eventually. The tortoise and the hare. Sometimes a little bit of push and pull in these races, but they did scale out, and they did get a fantastic fight to end the game. Silver came back up, and everything worked out. But now, with the basically same bans as game number 1, as it looks like, I seem to wonder if any adaptation at all has been made by the Scorpions. Maybe they just think it was about the play.
I mean, sometimes that's the case when you say, look, we can't give them the Lucian Braum still. They had the Sivir. It was obnoxious. But, you know, maybe we can handle that. We certainly did okay in keeping control on it. And it could have just come down to execution, especially in that last fight in particular. You know, you had DeMarvelous on that Victor in the top lane, getting kind of pinched up in the top side here, able to make the kill swap. And actually, this time, bans away Victor just to make sure Mac doesn't get any bright ideas and try to first pick this one.
If he does, I mean, hey, it would be extremely devastating. In fact, that was one of the major reasons they had a lead at all, was the fact that they could just send the Victor into a side lane and watch him do mass amounts of work. When they ban the Victor, that means that the instant first round pickup is going to be traded over. It's going to be the Alistair for Elkie Chong. This pick, I still think, is the most hotly contested pick in the entire of League of Legends right now. In terms of competitive play, it is so crucial at winning team fights and getting you those early to mid game secures that you need to actually snowball. We saw that last game. We saw the CC coming into huge effect, being used great by the Scorpions, but even if they used it well, they still couldn't convert. The Scion might help them out though. This pick has been working quite well, and we've seen some very unconventional strategies. I don't know if you know the legend of inting Scion, but inting Scion with Demolisher. I'm gonna shed a little secret for all of you who are solo queue wizards. You can play it top or you can play it support. All you have to do is build straight health and armor, full tank Scion, and ult into a turret. What happens when you ult into a turret past 5 minutes, you walk up to the turret, Demolisher starts proccing, you start to hit it. You will take about half to 2/3 of the HP of the turret, depending on how good your Demolish is and how much health you have, with just your self hitting the turret and your passive. And that's insane. That's so much damage. So if he does that, it can be a crazy way to split push, even if you're massively behind on the rest of the map. That's basically impossible to stop.
That would certainly be applicable to the way that last series went, as late game split pushes were still very much on the table. But look at this, so much happened so quickly there. They were just ready to rock and roll with the Kayn for that camper. See how he translates that to the aggressive style from the J4 he played last time. Meanwhile, Jay on Lissandra, that was something banned away from him last game. So now we'll see what he can pull into it, but it looks like Chancel was ready with an answer there.
Let me get in there.
There's no hesitation. Caribou on this Gragas as well, excited to see what that does amount to, but that's going to be a Tristana ban away from Ostrich. I don't know if that's just a champion he's familiar with, but you're going to say without the Sivir there? Varus, just in answer, Zot gave him some headaches on that one, so they don't want to see it again. Even though it wasn't the early game tool that you sometimes expect out of Varus, he stayed in the game, he farmed incredibly well, and just managed to become such a thorn in the side of the Bruins towards the end there. So that Scorpion will lose its stinger, but Fiora taken out as well. It's around the board. You know, every position getting a little bit of love here from the bans except jungle thus far, and obviously that makes sense because junglers were picked early on in the first round.
I'll just be over here.
Now
Sharpening my
AD coming
feathers.
under a lot of fire in this third round as 3 marksmen are taken off the table.
And we'll see what Zot actually opts into. He's gonna go for a Vayne.
Oh,
A
boy.
very, very interesting pick, especially when there's so many things on the table, because the problem with Vayne is insane until you meet an AD carry that doesn't care about being out of lane phase. As soon as you hit one of those, right? The John, the Draven, these things are all going to rip you in half, and they are going to insta-lock the John. Ostrich is going to feel very comfortable taking the 4-shot down to bot lane and just walking at Vayne, right? You get so much damage from Hail of Blades, so much from your 4th auto, that you can absolutely win the lane without even needing more than a BF sword in your inventory. And so if that happens, if Zot completely falls down, he's going to need Marvelous and Chancel to pick him back up, just like last game, and get him into a phase where he can carry, instead of the other way around, where Ostrich was the one having to be buoyed by his solo laner.
Well, here is Man's Mac locking in the Maokai.
Okay.
That's something
Okay.
I want to keep a particular eye on as things do continue to play out here. Because Maokai is not something that we see a lot of in current play. Now, he's one of those champions that's kind of always never been able to be ruled out, but this is not exactly what I would think of as one of his more prominent metas. Meanwhile, Zero Gravity on this Tom Kench, I actually really like that pick from this guy. This is somebody that, you know, we saw never afraid to be the front line against the Alistair in the last few games there. Or, I'm sorry, in the last game, in the last few fights of that last game in particular. So, I'm decidedly curious to see what he's going to be able to bring to the table here as things do heat up just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as it currently stands, I think we might have a way for Vayne to live. Maybe. I mean, the Tom Kench is
Talk me through
good.
it.
The Tom Kench is good. The Tom Kench is really good, right? This is a pick that has been used historically not just to win lanes, but to win game, right? If you can get any kind of purchase towards the lane phase, keep your Vayne healthy, keep your Vayne safe, you just win. So even if they commit massive amounts of resources down there, you're still Tom Kench. The Vayne's still not going to die. You might. But I think that's a very worthwhile trade, especially if they can get something out.
Well, with that, we are ready to hop into game number 2 as the players are taking to the Rift. And we've got the Bruins on the blue side, the Scorpions on the red side. We'll detail those players again for you in case you're just joining us or in case you may have forgotten. It's Mac in the top lane, that Camper in the jungle, Jay in the mid lane, and Ostrich and Elky Chong rounding out the bottom for the Bruins. Now, meanwhile, over on the side of the Scorpions, we do have DeMarvelous in the top lane. He had a marvelous game despite the loss. Darabu taken to the jungle with this Gragas. Chancel in the mid lane, and Zot and Zero Gravity, the ZZ bot, if you will, here. These two players. We'll see what they can do to have maybe a little bit better of a game in this bot lane. Last game, that was kind of a point of pressure for them. Their side lanes did well early. Their bot lane, not so much. Now, they've got to kill you bot lane, right? They've got Zero Gravity with Tom Kench. They've got a Vayne that's just going to make your life hell, even if you are the Alistair trying to get in, you know, being able to be silver shot back. The Ostrich as well. Going to really have to consider that 4th shot when getting close to this champion. Maybe they'll just annoy him to death with Cowbell, because it's already starting to work on me.
Okay, so maybe, just maybe, the Cowbell will be enough. But unless they're starting, you know, a Dave Matthews Band knockoff, I'm not really sure how it's going to help them win this game. They're going to need something a little bit more potent in order to bring that to bear. And no, I'm not talking about Freebird, and no, I'm not talking about, you know, House of the Rising Sun. It's gotta think, you know, maybe like a Skrillex knockoff with some Cowbell in it, you know, something really, really atrocious. And then once people hear it, they'll just leave. It works out perfect.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it plays off for him. 2 minutes into this one, relatively quiet start compared to, I mean, at this point in the game last time we were approaching our 4th kill, right? Because we had that little bit of a snafu in the red side jungle, or outside the blue side bot jungle. Not the case this time. Both teams a little bit more prepared to just try to have an even game. No one wants to feel like they lost because of the early game. I don't think either of those teams can justifiably make that argument that, oh no, we would have won if it weren't for that bot lane snafu, because each team had 2 or 3 chances in the end game in that post 30 minutes of that 36-ish minute game. So I'm excited to see now whether or not the Scorpions are coming into this one, you know, feeling reformed, refreshed, ready to go, or if that win for the Bruins was all the confidence they needed here. And now the blue side, the first pick, getting the Alistair away onto Elky Chong, who was, you know, no small part of that carry support charge last time, is going to be all the difference they need.
Yeah, and if he is the difference, right? If he is able to actually, this time around, oh, Noodle's hitting in the top lane, but no matter how Italian they might be, they do not have the strength to bring one another down. And Elky Chong, right? We were talking about him in the bottom lane. We're talking about how much of a difference he made last time around. If he can do the same thing on this Alistair, it could be massive.
Well, there is the root up, but it only finds
Oh
zero
my!
gravity. Doesn't matter, because Zod is taken out and away. Used the summoner heal, but it wasn't enough. Elky Chong ready at the drop of a hat, and the ignite is what does it at the end there. So huge pickup off the rip, and now Mac, you can tell how comfortable he feels. It was a noodle fight, but they brought that water to boil already, and means that DeMarvelous is looking a little soft there as he's beat up on pretty heavily. Mac's taking some lane priority for himself despite being down in CS. We'll feel good about that one, and fights raging elsewhere too as Chancel's getting the better of an exchange with Jay here. But that camper is around and, you know, potentially lurking.
It's not a 6 Zoe. Yeah. Remember, if this is not 6, actually, it doesn't even matter if she's 6 or not, right? It's the exact same kind of playstyle, you know? She doesn't have flash, then she dies. If she has flash, you burn the flash, don't burn your own flash, and you basically win. Then you come back to lane and she doesn't have that summoner spell.
See what all does come of it, because Chancel here using a lot of mana, but getting a lot of health for it. So Jay can't be feeling too fantastic about this one. He does have to consider the way some of these options will be going throughout. So, meanwhile, trying to reset in this bottom lane here. It's a couple CS to the favor of Zot, actually, still. You'd think Ostrich would have been able to pressure that out just a little bit more. Instead, opted to go back. Has those 2 long swords now to really just start punishing this lane, and that's mostly to bleed off some health from that Tom Kench there. You want to keep harassing him. You want to keep forcing him to use his shield or let that gray ball refill the half health there. So, Elky Chong, in the meanwhile, going to come in, is knocked back, and there's 0 gravity swallowing Zot whole. Actually, probably not the best there, because realistically what it looked like is that Zot was at the point where he'd taken most of the damage from that trade and was just about to spit back out damage, but 0 gravity swallowed him up just to prevent any further damage that probably wouldn't have come based on the position of that combo between Ostrich and Elky. So a little bit of a misfire between AD and support here, Zero and Zot. We'll see if they can iron that out, because if not, this lane's only going to get worse. That's a flash out for Mac in the top side. Darabu doing his job on a presence gank alone.
And now all he has to do is try and repeat. Oh, this could be the time.
Yeah, I don't get it. Mac just flashed out of that one. They obviously think because
oh, he's got jungler coming out.
They can, yeah, make that one happen, but without the flash, that's a really dangerous position to put themselves in. Either way, they don't have the damage, and the side...
Maybe they do.
It's absolutely no. So Sheridan feeling really good about this start. That's going to be the backup from Seneca Scorpions yet again, and almost. Chancel, if there's one shining light, this is it right now. But just playing to the edge of the tower becomes so tricky, and the flash is burned, and it doesn't matter, and now the time has been wasted so long. He's got 3 members to contend with, only 2 chasing him. But Darabu is still hot behind them, so we may have a little bit of a boiling point building between these here. Chancel wants it. That camper's there. Gragas can't get over the wall. Chancel's all alone in this still, and the pathing was so mismanaged from this jungler here for Seneca. The Scorpions just don't find it, and that's a second death. That's entirely avoidable, and the early game's not looking great for him.
Yeah, everything's starting to fall apart, and it's barely gotten into the game, you know. We talked about Chancel, how much he matters, how much, this lane has been a just rock for them in game number 1. If they do lose it, if he doesn't get the same kind of effect on the map, they don't really have much of anything, right? The top lane was winning. It's no longer a winning match. The mid lane is the only place that they have remaining that could be considered even a winning lane. And because of how important winning lanes are, especially winning solo lanes in the current meta, if Chancel loses, they are probably not going to be doing much of anything until 30 minutes.
Definitely have to be careful. You saw a 35 minute game with Blackwood, right? That's not exactly the norm in the current standard of things. I mean, you see games tend to just be a little quicker than all that, so I would not want to hedge my bets on a 30-minute game in this position. Obviously, Sheridan going to try to get that out quicker, but look at this. It's a gank coming in onto Chancel. He stands no chance there, and that shining light that was the mid lane has now died twice. And that's a kill for the Kane. 3 kills on the side of the Bruins here. 3 different members sharing them. That's going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, and as it stands, I mean, the Vayne's still getting bullied. The mid lane's, not supremely losing anymore. The top lane's feeling fantastic. It's all just kind of working out. It's really, really nonchalant committal, but the Bruins don't really need to commit that hard. If they can get a decent, they should be able to do fine. All they have to do is really prevent the Vayne from getting a massive lead. That would be really, really disastrous. If Vayne were to already have her items by now, already have at least one of them, things would be basically over. But she doesn't. Slowed down. She doesn't have any kind of purchase on the lane. So things are working out for them, but Kane's still waiting, still not able to really gank that Sion, but he wants to go for it as bot lane engages.
They're under the tower there. Yeah, it's tough to dive. Atan Kenshi just makes the most of the shield on the very edge, and Zot will be able to just keep the damage out. So it's a lot burned, actually, but here's the curtain
ready.
Call, zero gravity. No chance to get through that one as Ostrich lays down, finds himself the first kill in this bot lane for him. And that's going to be a huge takeaway as well. I don't believe Zot can comfortably stick around to try to hold this one out without the heal, but here come 2 members. We have Darabu, we have Chancel. They're roaming down, trying to find this kill. Gragas and Zoe, nothing to sneeze at. It's a great barrel back, but it's just not enough in the meantime. Elky-chan playing the peel that he needs to, and what a nice route to try to turn it around, but you have to be careful, Ostrich. No mana here. Means that this is not a fight that you want to go around re-picking.
He's so close. Every time you think that paddle star is gonna land, but he's so close to hitting it. Any of those would have been kills had they connected, but they did not connect. And so instead, the Scorpions must look elsewhere for a lead. They might want to turn towards that dragon, or with the TK's assistance, they're going to try to roam it back towards mid, but they're already spotted out. See, there's a pink ward in the bush. Sandra, no danger as long as she knows where that second member is coming from and how far away he is. So, as it currently sits, the game is actually in the favor of Sheridan still. They were behind a little bit in terms of just not getting the CS they needed. They weren't actually able to win that wet noodle fight as hard as they wanted, but then, the Zoe stopped being ahead. As soon as the Zoe stops being ahead, you can actually open up the rest of the map because you don't have to worry, will Chancel solo kill my mid? And if he's not solo killing you, you can put resources toward bot lane. They did just that. You can put them towards top lane, even. A little bit of pressure on the Sion repeatedly up there. And it's just all kind of working out. They are spending a lot of resources in a bunch of places, but because they aren't getting punished for it, they can continue to do so.
Speaking of punish, we'll see if this is going to be the point where they can get in onto Jay, find their first kill. It's so clean. But they do have to flash out because that camper was there. Maybe the flash a little unnecessary, but you can't take any chances when you are this far behind early. So credit for caution there. We'll give it to the side of Seneca for now. The Scorpions sting back just a little bit, but we'll see if the Bear's going to feel it too badly because these Bruins have been putting the hurt on them thus far. One saving grace is DeMarvelous in this top lane. This looks so good both games, just keeping that CS advantage up and staying well and away ahead of Mac. There's not really been a point where pound for pound Mac has looked better than DeMarvelous, and it's just been team composition-wise. The problem is, on a Scion, that's a lot harder to translate into tangible game progress.
I mean, we've seen it. We have seen it, right?
It's
If
not
you take a
impossible.
look at the Shy on a Scion,
I'm sorry, who?
completely demolished somebody.
Yeah.
But he's also one of the best top laners currently in the world.
World
So,
champion? Yep.
world champion. That's such a ridiculous notion. Anyway, yeah, as it is right now, I mean, Scion is good, but when you take Scion and you take away his advantages, namely the fact that he always wins trades because he goes longer, namely the fact that he's getting more HP the longer that he stays in lane, that he can outlast other champions. You put a laner up there that does the exact same things but better, right? Then what do you do, right? Maokai historically has had such a good matchup into Scion because you physically cannot die. There is no way for a Scion to actually kill you in any reasonable length of time. Oh my!
Ooh.
Okay.
Almost flipped out by Chancel there, but that's his combo down. And Jay's timing this one very nicely. It's going to be another attempt from Chancel here. There's a curtain call, though, and the Ignite just might find him anyway. The body block from Darabu is enough.
Oh
Now
my.
actually Zero Gravity finds the body block. I am shocked no one has died yet, but Zero Gravity flashing over this one might just be the first here. He does have the shield, and it looks like they're actually going to hang out Zot to dry, the ultimate force to use. And Zero Gravity will finally fall to Mac here. Now, meanwhile, over the wall, but look at that. Jay finds Zot with very little trouble over it, not even bothering to wake the dragon on that one. And it's 6-1 favoring the Bruins yet again. 21k gold to about 19. It's only a 2k gold lead, but this just looks ferociously favoring the Bruins right now. A kill on every member with a remainder of one on Mac. And yet again, the first dragon looks to be uncontestably in their hands.
And this was the problem with Seneca's composition. You mentioned the fact that they don't have an early game. They don't have a winning lane. This is what happens in the meta. If you don't have winning lanes, then every winning lane on the enemy team will collapse on your winning lane. And they do just that. They walk towards mid. They try to punish. They catch the Zoe. Don't kill her out of a miracle, but then kill other people instead. Right? They got themselves 2 kills off of it anyway, and it's still working out for them because all they have to do is just take their very ahead lanes and pressure the sort of ahead lane on the other team. And if you have more stats, which they currently do, then everything works out.
Just shy of 15 minutes here as the game has gone on, and options definitely seem to be in the favor now of Sheridan. These Bruins have been nothing but trouble thus far for Seneca University. We'll see whether or not they can continue to push the one pressure out and end this best of 3 series in 2 games, or whether or not this will be where Seneca can really dig in and start making the comeback. Pull out those boxing gloves that their beloved Scorpion mascot wears. Seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Scorpion has the Stinger, which is a pretty powerful tool there, but the pincers as well, kind of one of its main methods of attack of holding things still to sting them. You put boxing gloves on it, it's like, well, why? Have you ever seen something like those YouTube videos, which are borderline animal cruelty, by the way, where they put socks on a cat, and like the 4 cats just like running around there, like, yeah, we'll get back to that. We got a little bit of a brawl in the top lane here as Darabu is trying to get in onto Mac. The Marvelous is there as well, but that's the ultimate coming down. It's locked in the face, but Darabu takes some damage back for it. It doesn't matter. It's the turnaround. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Zot's already dead, and Elki Chong does not look to be too well, but does take it out anyway, holds the tide over while Zero Gravity does go down, and just buying the time for Ostrich to do exactly what he needs to there. That's a turret in the bot lane taken. It is first turret. It'll be traded in this top lane, but not at all in enough time, and that's another net gain going over to the Bruins.
Especially if they get something more for it, right? They don't actually pursue for the T2, so in fact, this will be a very beneficial trade for the side of Seneca. Now they are getting themselves the top turret. Eventually, it will go down, and that's pretty much a 1-for-1 turret trade. It's just outers on opposite lanes, so not super worrisome in either sense of the scenario, and it means that they're trying to stall out the gold lead. So eventually the gold lead will stall. It just depends on how long it lasts and how much gold there actually is between the 2 teams. The good thing is, right, for all of the things that have happened, they haven't gone very well, obviously. They still do have a pretty okay path to success. You know, it's get the Vayne large. Eventually Vayne gets large. All you have to do is take small enough risk and train more efficiently so that the Vayne can have the time to scale. And once she does, she just one-shots everybody. But getting to that position is always the toughest thing in the game, and especially when you consider how much CC is present on the side of Sheridan. If they are allowed access to her without the Tom Kench near, she will die. Guaranteed. Doesn't matter if you pay the QSX tax, it does not help.
Tricky little situation they're finding themselves in, because getting to that point of viability here now onto the side of the Scorpions is becoming a taller and taller order. Keeping track of the obstacles that they have to go through. I mean, this is a 3-0-3 gym here, and we have a fight there. Chancel goes down, Jay's breaking it out with this one, and they're ready to just dive right on in. Zod is dead as well. That's the 2 damage threats from the Scorpions already, and that teleport would be madness to carry it on through, but the Marvelous opts to do so anyway, and now he's just left this bot lane entirely exposed. He's trying to find a kill in return, but Elky Chong on this Alistair is so damn tanky, they can just continue to dive, and that's Jay going in alone. He finds the first kill, that's the second, the tower won't kill him, are you kidding me? And now DeMarvelous, the last one standing, he chose to be here with the teleport. The double kill from Ostrich means that is the ace coming out only 18 minutes into the game, and that is a huge pickup for Sheridan.
It's just, what can you say? That was absolutely impeccable. They just walked through, get so many kills, a great combo, and they didn't even need their tree to do it, right? That was a 4 versus 5 ace win for themselves, and Chancel might have something to say about it.
Sleepy Tree here, Sleepy Hollow. Does the Ignite come through? The answer is yes. He was trying to go for that gummy fruit there, but
yeah, I mean, unfortunately for him, he is not an Ent. He can't just dunk his head in the river and put himself out. And despite what my comrade Kyle Animal Planet Pro may say, hurting a tree with fire is not animal. So it's fine. You know, you can ignite the tree, and it works out perfect.
Right. Yeah, well, that's I mean, I won't argue that. Even a little bit here. Trees are flammable things that are also not animals. As they, you know, the late great Futurama once said, you're technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. So, there you go. Meanwhile, about 30
Late
seconds left
I
until
mean,
the strike spawns.
you want to talk about something that's undying, you know? Getting canceled, what, 5, 6 times? It's like they had Guardian Angels out the wazoo, but also not so undying, right? 13 to 3s are... Sheridan has shown that they can make Seneca bleed, but more than that, they can make them wilt. They were absolutely on the brink of defeat when they won game number 1. This is not the same in game number 2. They have a massive gold lead, and I think, given a gold lead this large, it will take some kind of a throw by Sheridan at this point to actually lose the game. It's not simply that Seneca has to play well. They need more than that at this point in order to win.
You know, it's funny, too. This time in the last game, Seneca were playing with such vigor and such a disdain for the idea of losing. They wouldn't even entertain the thought process. They dug so deep, kind of gave it everything they had. You wonder now if that didn't really take away a lot of their mental fortitude for this second game here, because they've not been seen to be putting up much of a fight at all in comparison. Now, here's the Rift Herald coming down. The minions are already at the tower, so that means this thing is gone, like the wind. Meanwhile, this next tower is going to be the subject of much discussion, but Shelly will get the proc off, so that's about as much as you can ask for in that kind of situation. And they just left Zot this bot lane the entire time. He's not even actually finishing the push out on the tower. He's just bounced it to tower, and now he's backing. That's kind of the worst of both worlds here.
Yeah.
Because his team can pretty much hold out the rest of this mid lane tower if they dig deep enough. And he's backing to help them do something they don't need help with and not even finalize the objective here. It's a little bit of an oversight and a tough position to be in, because I really do get that you don't just want to leave the team in case that fight breaks up. This is where you need to find that fight. This is where you need to start trying to turn the tide of this game. But with that, it doesn't break out. Instead, it's a turnaround onto the top side. DeMarvelous is just the focus of so much aggression. All 5 after him, and they are dominating to turn this one back in on its head. That one goes over into the hands of Ostrich. He is 6-0-6 on this Jin, and shows no sign of slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, right, you've got to think, we mentioned the fact that they have to throw it in order to lose. It's just rapidly becoming the case, right? They're just stacking up 5 men strong, walking towards the top side, and this is the really hard part about the current meta. How do you come back once you're down? How in the world can you actually find enough gold to just win it out? And the problem seems to be that scaling just works too well. You know what I mean? It's just the instant you get items, the instant you get gold, the meta is very easy to execute run at you composition. In a game where there's 2 run at you comps, right? One playing against the other, one has to lose. You know, one will fall behind. But in a game where you're already seceding lanes, there's so much gold in those lanes as of themselves that if your solo laners get ahead, they can just win and win and win and win and win and win.
And usually with one of those 2 run-at-you compositions, it's whichever one has the Alistair, right? That's going to be in better shape right now.
No, that's also very important. The fact that they have Alistair and have a gold lady is super, super crucial because the Alistair, after all, is highly contested. Great at what it does. It's fantastic at just winning things for its team. Oh, Beryl knocks him away from the Sleepy Trouble bubble, which would have spelled his demise.
Yeah, I think he was, Dergu was thinking health bar's low, defensive barrel, engage. Not thinking Chomsel's right here, but the question is how much longer is Chomsel right here, because he takes a lot of damage there, rooted up to about half of his health. A little on the underside of that. This mid laner for Seneca has been pretty great thus far. It's been unfortunate the amount of deaths he's experienced. Staying relevant doesn't matter because this mid lane fight is what's on hand right now, and that means that it's going to be 0 gravity as well as the Marvelous going down. No hope for Darabu to get out of this one alive either. Jay makes sure of that one as they do take out the Scion passive there, making sure that this reanimated corpse goes right back to grave. It's Zot and Chancel trying to hold this one out now, but they know they have to give up this tower. Probably a second one here as well, as this base is going to be so damn hard to defend against the likes of Mac and Elky Chong on this Maokai Alistair combination. There it is. That camper gets the kill. And they'll find one back, maybe with the Ignite? Yeah, that should find it. Ostrich's going to go down there, but small price to pay for what's going to be an inhibitor very likely here.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, would things have been different had this Zoe gotten a little bit more of an advantage? Had she maybe gotten a couple more of those kills, the Pal Stars landing, but we don't have the luxury to question that. Instead, what they have to do is try to chase. The Predator is on, the Gragas going forwards.
It's a flash just for the slow, but the passive should stack here if he can get just a little bit more. That's the second bite, that's the third. Max going out of this one. No chance that he survives this without the flash. They will find him, thirst for it.
They're trying to give it over.
Yeah, he's just buying time at this point for the rest of his team to be able to find that back. And, you know, that's the kind of situation where he was able to Pied Piper them long enough that they killed him a little faster. They might have said, hey, what about Baron? But right now, I don't think that it's really an attainable objective for them. They know they just need to clear the wards, suffer the consequences of some of this mid lane, and okay, I actually like this. They want to find kind of the hero pick, but it could cost them here. Not starting the Baron yet here. Finally comes Elky Chong, and he's going to snip this one out immediately. Not exactly what they wanted, because they do go early. And they're going to try to force a fight out of this one. It could be the pinch, because Ostrich is on the sidelines. That's an equally dangerous and advantageous place to be. We'll see whether or not they do try to bust this one out. They know they have Elky Chong already low. They're going to try to turn this one. There's that camper going in. Elky Chong still barely staying alive, but finally falls here. Now that camper going to be the one in a little bit of trouble, but Zot going to get hit up by this one. This is not a good position to be in. That's the shutdown onto Chancel. He is out of this one. Zero gravity as well. Jay just massacring through this one, and it's a really nice distribution. Only Zot remaining on this side as the Marvelous.
And keep in mind, there's still supers hitting into the base of the side of Seneca. They are getting run down while their turrets are falling, and here comes the teleport. Everything should be over, everything should be falling, and the game should be done as we see Sheridan marching into the base. They look to make it a clean 2-0 and become the only undefeated team remaining in their group.
Absolutely, a hugely dominant run up over Seneca as they do assert themselves to 2-0 in this series. Sheridan, the Bruins, they come out of nowhere to spike this one down. The first game, that was competitive. This second one, I mean, not even close.
Yeah, about it. I mean, it just wasn't even close. You said it yourself. what can they do at that point, right? Can they even think about competing? Can they even think about trying to challenge? They just got run over in a bunch of lanes. Was the draft the issue, or was it really just the fact that they got run over? I mean, either way, Sheridan playing a fantastic set of League of Legends. Game number 1, incredibly close. And I gotta say, Chancel was very, very impressive for being on a losing team.
I think so. I think that, there were moments of brilliance from this Seneca roster. They really did have some great things going for them that I think will make this group a little bit more interesting come, playoff discussions when, if they scoot out as that second seed from their group, when they're playing other teams in those matchups. Okay, we saw 2 really good solo laners, right? Just top side advantage was pretty much all throughout the laning phase in the hands of Seneca's top laner there, in kind of 2 very different matchups, and then in the mid lane too with the Zoe pickup and just all the pressure that he was able to exert throughout. I think those were 2 solo lanes that kind of continued to impress throughout that game, despite the fact that they really just felt outclassed in the macro sense. I don't know if that's just one good shot caller in the hands of Sheridan there. If the Bruins just have one guy that's really calling the macro shots that netted them, I don't know, every dragon, at both Rift Heralds, all the Barons. It just seemed to work out, and their macro play was so much far and away better. And I think their team fight was a little better at the end of the day too. So
yeah.
So either way, huge congratulations, of course, to the Sheridan Bruins for pulling out the win there. Seneca College does find their first loss today, and that will essentially conclude our broadcast. My name is Kyle Corvus Crow. I've been joined by Jeff Zeta Schnurr. It's been a fun night of League of Legends. We want to thank both of these teams. We will be back same time, same place, Wednesday night with a little bit more League of Legends action, as we do have, I believe, George Mason and Kennesaw State. That's a varsity matchup, so that'll be a little fun. Make sure you're tuning in for that. We'll be there. We'll see you there. But in the meantime, we hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next time.